Hey everyone, Quiet Riot here. Gonna do another episode of my podcast, and we'll try to make this short and sweet and to the point. Want to talk about the civil war in Syria that President Obama, as well as his aides, like the Secretary of Defense John Kerry, Chuck Hagel, of course, Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State John Kerry, I believe it was Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel. My bad. Easy to confuse those guys. They can seem pretty interchangeable at times. Anyway, just wanted to talk about the whole Syria question, real quick. And basically, my position on this can be summed up as no, 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 and fuck no. We should not intervene in Syria. We don't need to get involved in a civil war between sectarian forces over there. As far as what the dictator Assad has done, whether he's used chemical weapons or not on his own people, my whole position on it is, and I don't mean to sound crass, but why is that our fight? I mean, for God's sake, we're still very much in debt here in the U.S. We have the lowest employment in terms of percentage of population that we've had in 50 years. Wages are not keeping up with corporate profits. We've got crumbling infrastructure in terms of roads and bridges. We need to invest more in high-speed rail. So we've got all, and poverty is increasing in the United States. Inequality is also increasing. The very rich are doing well, but most of the rest of us are just kind of barely scraping by. So we've got all these other issues here at home, and what in the hell are we talking about possibly getting into another conflict in the Middle East, which could very well turn into a quagmire. And we had all these people work for the administration, which, in my opinion, look kind of interchangeable. And it's reminded me of times of the Bush administration. John Kerry out there fumbling around, talking about just trying to sell us a bill of goods that the majority of the American people know, is BS. Really. He sounded a lot like Colin Powell, and I hate to say it, but Colin Powell, I always respected the guy, 5-star general and all that, but lost a lot of respect for him during the Bush administration when they had him going around doing this dog and pony show, selling us on WMDs in Iraq, which of course most of that turned out to be just a bunch of bogus crap, and another excuse for us to go in there. In Iraq, with all due respect to veterans who served, to family members of people who served, Iraq dragged on and on, for a decade. And we wasted so much. We spilled a lot of blood over there. But we also, in terms of what it did to us economically, we really took it on the chin, And we need to be spending tax dollars on fixing roads and bridges, working on our nation's crumbling infrastructure, putting people to work doing that. Maybe rechristening the national parks. For example, we could have a clean energy initiative and put more tax money into helping businesses and homeowners convert their places of business and homes into, so that they can use more solar energy, we could work more on getting cars that run on hydrogen, more electric cars, that kind of thing. We should be investing in high-speed rail, trying to keep up with Europe, trying to keep up with Japan. We're not doing that. Hell, we're even falling behind China on rail travel now, from a recent article I read. So basically, we've got no business being in Syria. The American people clearly don't want it. Around 60% of us oppose going in there for any reason at all, really. It's looking like Congress, and with the House at least, House of Representatives, could vote down an authorization. And as far as the newest development, with Russia trying to play a power breaker. Of course, Russia is allied with Syria, and of course we're close allies with Israel. Which why Syria would be a threat to Israel, I have no idea. I don't believe they are. But I really wonder, as far as Russia being the power broker trying to get chemical weapons from Syria, well, more power to them. Go Russia. Hell, I'll start learning some Russian if they can help us avoid launching cruise missiles over there, airstrikes on Syria, all stuff that we really don't need. And for God's sake, we've had soldiers that have served multiple tours of duty, tens of thousands of them in Afghanistan and Iraq in this all-volunteer army that we have now. And you have to excuse me, I'm a little tired. I've been out running around in and out of businesses all day. 1 second. You'll notice that isn't water. That's some ale I'm having. Some Red's Apple Ale. A little product placement there. But anyway, yes, go Russia. Help convince Syria to give up all its chemical stockpiles. Sounds good to me. I also found it kind of amusing in the part of the interview that the dictator Hassan had with Charlie Rose, where he tried to play off the chemical weapons as possibly being from the Syrian rebels or terrorists in the region, which for all we know, and as far as the intelligence reports I've read, the intelligence isn't that solid. It could have been from terrorists or the rebels. It also could have been from the Syrian government who used the chemical weapons. But regardless, I think it's horrible that the chemical weapons were used on civilians. But at the end of the day, I just feel like that's a Syrian people's fight to figure out what kind of government they have over there. They're in the middle of a civil war. They need to finish it. We should stay the hell out of it. So I thought that part of what Hassan said to Charlie Rose was interesting, even though it might have been BS. It also could be truth there, because the intelligence I've read was not been all that solid in terms of who actually used the chemical weapons and on who. As far as President Obama giving interviews to Wolf Blitzer, I mean, what in the hell is he doing? He's trying to convince the American people that we need to go to war, and I understand he's supposed to be giving a speech on it, maybe as I'm talking right now, tonight. He's supposed to give a speech to the nation about it. They're saying the latest developments, the Senate's going to delay a vote on authorizing troops to go over there. I'm hoping this can all get worked out diplomatically, but, really, why isn't the focus on jobs? Why isn't it on fixing infrastructure, on doing something about poverty, maybe giving more people health care in this country? That's a crisis that hardly ever gets talked about, except when somebody's trying to score some political points, and I don't think Obamacare, as we're going to see, it's not going to do much to lower cost. Maybe a little bit in the short term, but basically a lot more needs to be done, and I think there needs to be a public option. There should have been one before. That's another story. I guess that'd be for another podcast. We could talk about that. But yes, as far as going into Syria, no, and fuck no, we should stay out of there. And that's all I got. Have a good night.